Welcome to our first video session where we'll look at life from a more spiritual point of view. Here we will ask questions and hopefully provide some answers. Have you ever paused to ponder about what the answers might be to some of life's age-old questions? What's the purpose of this life? In other words, why are we here? Where do we come from? Where do we go? These are only a few of the very important questions for which humanity has sought answers since the early days of our existence. Perhaps we may now shine some light into this previously dark corner of our lives here on this planet. Now you may ask, what do these videos have to offer the seeker, the traveler on life's pathway? I will first respond by stating that perhaps answers can be provided to one degree or another to those three questions posed above, especially the question about the purpose of our lives here. Equally important is the fact that I will also respond by saying that you will find over time that there's a great deal more to be found within yourself than these videos or any video or book or person outside yourself can ever provide. However, that having been said, I do feel certain that you'll discover in this series of videos information that will be invaluable to you in the process of finding that which is within yourself and in helping you to establish a level of ongoing communications between you and higher unseen positive forces with special emphasis on your own inner higher self. The establishment of that communication, no matter how long it takes or how much patience and perseverance are required, should be a goal for every serious seeker. Once that communication level is dependably established, you'll no longer need to depend on videos or books or on someone like me or others who hope to assist you in seeking and obtaining guidance from those higher positive forces. I believe that there is enough information in these spiritually oriented video sessions to guide seekers such as you, so you'll be able to establish communication with your higher self. And for those few who may be needed, with other higher unseen positive forces. These things can and may come about for you over time if you're willing to apply yourself and if you have patience and a sincere heart. This is especially true of those of you who are willing to follow the enjoyable pursuit of reading books from the book list that we will give you, and those of you who will try your best to follow the suggestions in this video session and that video session and in all the video sessions which we'll make available, especially when you feel that these suggestions strike an inner chord with you. Now, I'm going to take a moment to apologize for you in advance in this video and this video only, because during this series of videos you're going to find that some of them sort of cut off at points where logically a cut may not seem to make sense. But there were longer sessions of these videos, and unfortunately they were too long for the time limit that YouTube makes available to those who wish to upload videos. So they had to be broken down into shorter videos so that they would fit. I hope and trust that these will all fit that, and I apologize in advance for the fact that some of the thought lines may be somewhat broken up. I tried to avoid that wherever possible, but we'll do the best that we can and hope you'll bear with us. I think you'll find the information to be worthwhile and well worth your time, if in fact you are a seeker. Excuse me. Now, there are a number of important reasons why I have put this information that's in these video sessions into these to make them available to you. A significant portion of the information in one form or another has been available for many centuries, passed from teacher to student or from parent to child. It has also been taught for many centuries in various places that many have called mystery schools, and has been available from certain books and other sources. In the past, much of this knowledge has been restricted in the sense that only a few seekers were likely to be drawn to it with sufficient interest to study it to any significant degree. More recently, however, a great many more people have become interested in matters that are generally esoteric in their nature, and especially those things that are mystical and spiritual in nature. Partly as a result of that great increase in interest, but also for numerous other reasons, the time has now come when such knowledge needs to be made more easily accessible to those persons who are finding themselves becoming more and more interested in this kind of information. Some of the information that has been somewhat hidden now needs to be brought more into the light of day, so to speak. In addition, significant events have already begun to take place on this earth, and there are those who need to be made aware that these events and the events of September 11th to 2001 were not isolated events. They were the beginning of many significant changes that will continue to take place over the coming years. The worldwide financial collapse of 2008 is another significant event in a series of such events that are yet to be completed. These video sessions have been created to help people who are interested to understand better these events and to be better prepared to understand and survive what is still ahead. It's true also that some of the information that is here may not be currently available to you from any other source. Because of these facts, and since the information now needs to be made available, and these videos seem to be the most reasonable way to accomplish that task, I've taken the steps to put the information here for those who are interested and who want to know. I hope that you will come to consider these video sessions as some of your favorite places to visit again and again, and to recommend your friends whom you think would find benefit here. There is much more being offered here than that which first meets the eye, so I hope you will return and watch these again as the years go by. Excuse me. Now that we've introduced you to this series of videos, let's begin to delve into our first area of interest by asking the question, what is this thing called life? In order to properly answer those three questions mentioned in the introduction, why are we here, where do we come from, where do we go, then there's a good deal of information that you will need in order to have the greatest understanding possible of that which you'll be given. We'll begin in this first session to lay a foundation upon which we will then build in subsequent sessions until you not only have the above questions answered to one degree or another, but you will also have a much more complete understanding of how that information and other information which we will provide comes together to give you a much more complete understanding of our world and of higher realms, and how all this relates to you and to those around you. Perhaps before we're done, we can shine even more light in those sometimes dark corners of our lives here on this earth. Let's talk about the fact now that there is a commonality in all of life. Excuse me. We tend to think of life in terms of ourselves and those close to us. We may not always take the time to consider the fact that life, as it relates to our planet, is basically everywhere. Regardless of whether you look at the air, the water, or the land on this world of ours, the planet, so far at least, is teeming with life. If we can get people to stop plundering and polluting it for no greater purpose than to satisfy the greed of those who are unwilling to use the funds necessary to do business in a way that is not harmful to our planet, then it's very likely going to continue to be teeming with life of all kinds for a long time yet to come. Here's something that you may or may not have considered before. All of life shares something in common, and we are all interconnected as a result. Some may be thinking that this refers to the food chain, and that is a very important aspect of this truth to keep in mind. The even more significant point that's being made here, however, is that every entity that has within it that which we call life is connected by that which we share as a result of that commonality to every other entity that has life within it. As a means of explaining that last statement, if you can envision every such entity as some sort of electrical device. For example, consider all such entities that we say have life as different types and sizes of electric lamps. There is a source of power from which all the lamps receive the spark necessary to allow each to express its light, its life, in other words. That source of power is the supreme being in the universe whom, by one name or another, most of us call God. The power from that source is our commonality, that which we all share, that which interconnects us, each one to all the others, as is so ably described along with many other important concepts in the recent film Avatar. Now, this truth does not necessarily have anything to do with religion, although many folks may think that it should, or it doesn't have things to do with church or personal belief of any kind. It simply is a fact, and those who choose to believe it are welcome to do so, and those who choose to believe otherwise are equally welcome to do so. The point is, however, that since all of life comes from the same source, should we not be more considerate of and caring about others, including other forms of life, even when they are not just like ourselves? This does not mean that we should begin tiptoeing around blades of grass for fear that we might step on one. But it does mean, however, what it says. Maybe you will take the time to give it some serious thought. You may find that the implications are perhaps more far-reaching than you had first considered. With that idea in mind, we will now close the first video session in our series that looks at life from a more spiritual perspective. In our next video session, we will consider the question, what is life, really? I thank you very much, and I hope you'll tune into the next session. Again, thank you.